Hello everyone, welcome back to Pabbly. In this video, we are going to learn and understand how to use filters inside date time formatter feature of Pabbly Connect. So we generally use date time formatter to format the date and time according to our requirements in the workflow. Now here I am going to tell you how you can use filters also in order to set different kind of conditions while applying date time formatter. Okay, let's suppose you want to format the date for which you have applied date time formatter. Now after applying date time formatter, you want to set a particular condition in which if the condition will follow, then only you want to run that workflow, otherwise not. Here I'm going to take an example of, let's say, admit card distribution. Let's suppose I have a coaching center in which on different dates I am going to conduct different kind of examinations which is based on programming or coding skills. Okay, so here I have created a form with the help of jot form for students. Now the students are going to fill up the form with all the details along with the date of their examination. And as soon as I'm going to receive this form response in Pabbly Connect, then I want to format the date accordingly. And there I want to apply a condition that in case if the date on which the examination is going to held of a student is going to match the current date, then I want to send the admit card to the student through email. So here I have created an automation for this entire process already. I have already taken the form response from jot form. In this form response, I have received all the details related to the student's examination and the date on which the exam is going to held. So here you can see that we have received date, month and the year in this particular response separately. This is the date, this is the month and this is the year. Okay, so this is very good. Now we are going to move forward. I have applied date time formatter to fetch out the current date. So I have fetched out the current date of today. Now after receiving the current date, I want that if the exam date matches the current date, then the workflow should automatically continue and the admit card should be sent to the student. In that case, what I have done, I have first of all applied text formatter by Pabbly. And by using text formatter, what I have done, I have simply split the current date into date, month and year separately. Why I have done that? Because I want to exactly match the date on which the exam is going to held with the current date, with the current month as well as with current year. And if in case we are not going to split the current date and we are going to use the exact date which we have received in the filter, then the filter does not work properly. It showcases some kind of issues while running in real time. Therefore, we have already split the current date. Now, how we are going to apply the filter? Let's move towards the filter step. First of all, I have selected the application as filter. Filter is an amazing feature by Pabbly which allows us to set conditions in our workflow according to our requirements. Here we can set different conditions and conditions or conditions in order to set the workflow according to our requirements and run the workflow whenever we want. Now here how I have set the filter condition, I have matched the date which we have received from form response to the current date. For that I have taken three conditions over here. In the label I have selected the response which we have received from the jot form. Okay, so in first label we have selected the date which we have received, that is 30, and then I have selected the filter type as equal to, and here I have entered the current date which we have already fetched out from date time formatter. Now here I have to tell you one more thing, that I have used mapping over here to enter the data. So I have mapped the label as well as the value. So because I have mapped the data by using my previous response, therefore it has become dynamic and now it is going to replace automatically with each and every new response. Therefore, in order to automate the entire process, we generally use mapping, because whatever data we are going to enter manually in the workflow, it becomes static and it does not get replaced with each and every new response. Okay, in the same manner, I have taken the second label as the month which we have received from jot form, and in the value for that month I have used the current month which we have received from the date time formatter. At last I have also mapped the year which we have received from jot form response, and in the value of that I have entered the current year. So now when all these conditions are going to match each other, then the workflow is going to continue further, otherwise not. So here when I have run this workflow, we can see that the condition is absolutely true. But in case if the condition will not be true, for example, if the date and year are same, but if the month is not equal to 4, then automatically the workflow is going to stop over here and it is not going to run further. Why? Because we have added AND condition over here. And AND condition means that all the conditions must be fulfilled in order to run the workflow. If you are using any kind of OR condition, then it might be possible that one or other condition could be followed, and in that case only the workflow is going to run. Now after the condition will be true, my objective is to send the admit card. For that I have selected Gmail over here. So whenever the workflow is now going to run in real time, as soon as we are going to receive the new form response by a student in jot form, automatically current date is going to be fetched out with the help of date time formatter, and then automatically the current date is going to be split with the help of text formatter by Pabbly, and then the conditions will be finally checked. If the date which we have received from form submission of a student will not be equal to the current date, then the workflow is going to stop over here. But in case if the conditions will match, then the workflow is going to further continue and the admit card will be automatically sent. So this was the example of how we can use filter in datetime formatter to format the date. Okay, similarly, now I'm going to show you another example with another use case. Now let's understand the use of filter with another example as well. Let's suppose I'm going to organize a summer camp, okay, for which I have created a jot form in order to take registrations of students. Now here my objective is that I only want to consider the students who are under the age of 20. That means who are born after 31st December 2003. And I do not want to take the registrations of the students who are born before that. For that, I want to set conditions over here in my workflow. So I want that whenever I'm going to receive the registration form by a student, automatically the condition should be checked. And if the condition is fulfilling, then only I want to send the confirmation message or the confirmation email to the student for their registration. So I have created another workflow for that in order to make you understand, in which I have set up the connection between jot form and Gmail. Now in between, I have used datetime formatter and filter. So we are going to understand that. So I have already received a response of form submission in jot form by a student. Okay, so these are all the details which I have received in jot form. Along with these details, we have also received the date of birth of the student. Okay, so the date is 10th, the birth month is November, and here is the year 2005. Now because I have told you that I want to use a condition over here that only if the student is born after 2003, then I want to run this workflow and send the confirmation mail to the student, otherwise not. So for this, we will simply compare the date which we have received from the form response of a student to our date which we have set for taking the registrations. So let's suppose I have set the date that I want to take the responses from the students who are born after 2003. That means the students who are born after 2004. Okay, so what I will do, I will simply compare the date which we have received from 1 January 2004, and if the date will be greater, then I simply want to continue the workflow and I want to send the confirmation to that same student. Okay, for that, what I have done, I have simply formatted the date which we have received in the response. Okay, so basically I have formatted the date into a timestamp. So I have converted the date into timestamp, and then I have once again converted the date which I want to set into timestamp. So once again I have applied datetime formatter. Here is the date which I want to compare. So this is 1 January 2004. I have converted this date in timestamp. And then I have used a filter. And in the filter, I have compared the date which we have received to the date which we have set. Okay, so this is the date which we have received from the student that we have already formatted into timestamp. And here in the value of this label, I have mapped the timestamp which we have converted of the date which we want to compare. That means 1 January 2004. And here I have set a condition that if the date, that means the timestamp which we have received from the student will be greater than the value which I have mapped over here, that means the timestamp of the date which I have set over here, 1 January 2004, then automatically the workflow should continue. And here in my case, the condition is true because the student is born in 2005. Okay, so automatically the timestamp is greater than 2004 timestamp. So the condition is true. In that case, I want to send the confirmation to the student. So in this way, if you want to compare the date which you are receiving from a response and the date which you want to set particularly, okay, then you can use timestamp format for that date. You can convert both the dates into timestamp format, and then you can use a filter over here after datetime formatter in order to compare that date. And here we have different types of filters. You can see equal to, does not equal to, contains, exists, does not exist, less than, greater than. I have used greater than over here, but you can take any type of filter. Suppose you want to take registration for a particular event of the students who are above 18, then you will have to take less than filter type in that case. Okay, so this was the example and the steps which we have to follow in order to compare two dates. Okay, so we have to convert two dates. That means we have to convert the date which we have received in the response and the date which we want to compare into timestamp format, and then we have to apply the filter to compare those dates according to our conditions. Okay, if the condition will be true, the workflow is going to continue, and if it will be false, then the workflow will stop over here only. Now the next example over here will be to format the time. Let's suppose I work in an HR department of the organization. Okay, and in our organization we have the policy that if any employee wants an emergency leave, then the employee have to submit the leave request before or at 9 a.m. on the day he wants the leave. Okay, otherwise the leave request will not be considered. Then here I want to apply the condition for that workflow. So if the form for the leave leave request will be submitted at or before 9 a.m. Then I want to send a confirmation email to the employer that the leave request is approved, otherwise not. So in that case, what I have done, I have already taken the jot form response. Let's suppose I have created a leave request form for employees by using jot form, which contains following details such as name, email, phone number, leave request from date, leave request to date, okay, leave type, reason for leave, and the department. Okay, now whenever the form will be submitted, automatically the time is going to be captured in the response as well in the timestamp format. So here this is the build date, that means on which date and at what time the form is being submitted. Okay, so by using this response, I'm going to first of all format the date and time. So first of all, I'm going to convert this timestamp format which we have received from the response, okay, into the date and the time format. And here I have received the response. Okay, you can see that the form is submitted on 1st May 2024 at 12:55. That means at 12 p.m. 5 minutes and 5 seconds. And because I want to create this workflow on the basis of time on which the form is submitted, therefore I'm going to use this time. So to only use this time, I have formatted this entire date and time. So I have used text formatter, and first of all I have split the time from this particular date with the help of the colons. Okay, and because in the hours we have not received a particular colon and we have space between the date and the time, so I have once again applied date time formatter over here in order to format and split the hour as well. So here I have received the hour. Okay, now whenever the form will be submitted, automatically all these things will be done, all the date and the time will be formatted, and I'm going to receive the exact time at which the form is being submitted. Okay, so here now when I have received the exact time, what I have done, I have simply mapped the hour, the minute and the second on which the form is submitted, and I have converted this entire time into timestamp format. And then after that, because I want that the form should be submitted at or before 9 a.m. every day, okay, for the emergency leave, therefore I have converted the 9 a.m. time format also in the timestamp format. You can see that this is 9 a.m., 9 hours, 0 minutes and 0 seconds. So I have converted this time as well into timestamp format. And when I have received the response, I have used filter finally to compare these timestamps. Okay, so with the help of filter, I have applied a condition over here that if the timestamp format which we have received from the form response, that means the time at which the form is being submitted will be less than 9 a.m. or will be equal to 9 a.m., then I want to further continue the workflow, otherwise not. So here I have used or conditions, you can see, because it might happen that the employee can submit the form before 9 a.m. as well as he can submit the form at 9 a.m. as well. So I have selected the conditions over here in the or format. So the timestamp at which the form is submitted will be less than the 9 a.m. timestamp format. Then also the workflow should continue. And if the form is submitted at 9 a.m. and the timestamp of 9 a.m. will be equal to the timestamp which we have received from the response, then also we want to run the workflow. But in case if both the conditions are not going to follow, then the workflow is going to stop over here. That means if the form will be submitted after 9 a.m., then the form will not be considered, and then we do not want to continue this workflow. So the leave request will be rejected in that case. So in this way, you can use filter conditions when you have formatted the time as well. So you will format the time by using date time formatter, and accordingly, in order to compare the timestamps, you can use filter over here. So this was another case. Now here I'm going to show you one more feature of date time formatter, that is date duration calculator. So date duration calculator is an amazing feature of date time formatter which allows us to calculate the duration between two dates. Okay, let's suppose I have an e-commerce store and I have the details of all the orders which are placed in my Google Sheets. Now my objective is that whenever a new row will be added in this particular spreadsheet, along with all the details of the customers, phone number of the customer, email of the customers, date of purchase on which the customer has placed the order, and the delivery date. So whenever a new row will be added over here, I want to receive the response. And then finally, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use date duration calculator. And what is my objective? I want to calculate the duration between the order purchase date of the customer and the date on which the delivery of the product is made to the customer. And here I'm going to receive the response. So basically, with the help of date duration calculator, you can calculate the duration between two dates. For example, here I have mapped the dates. First of all, this is the date on which the delivery is made, which is date 1. And here is the date on which the order is being placed, that is date 2. So I want to calculate the difference between these two dates. I have used date duration calculator for that, and here is the response you can see. So here the order is placed on 10th April 2024 and and the delivery is made on 15th April 2024. So here we have received the response, and in the response we can see that the duration between these 2 days is 5 days. So in case if you want to calculate the duration between years as well, you will get the years, the months, the days, as well as hour, minutes and seconds as well. Okay, here according to my use case, I want that if the duration of the delivery will be within 5 days, then I want to consider that order on time delivery. Otherwise, I want to provide the feedback on that order as late delivery. Okay, for that what I'm going to do, I'm going to use filter conditions. Once again, after calculating the duration, I'm going to apply filter, and because I have two conditions over here, that in case if the order will be on time, then I want to give the feedback in the spreadsheet as on time delivery. Otherwise, I want to provide late delivery to that order. So for that I have used router over here. Router allows us to set two different routes in our workflow. Router is the very last step of every workflow. We cannot add any further step after router. Whatever steps we want to perform, we have to perform the steps inside router only. Now our action event over here will be conditionally run. I'm going to set the router, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to update the spreadsheet after applying the filter. So I've already calculated the duration. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to set two routes over here. Route 1, route 2. Route 1 will be for, I'm going to first of all rename the routes. Route 1 will be for on-time delivery. So I'm going to update the name. Now I'm going to go towards set filter and action step. So within the router only we have to set the filter and actions whatever we want. Now here we are going to set the filter condition, that will be that if the duration which we have received from date duration calculator will be equal to or will be less than 5. So I'm going to add or condition over here. Once again, I'm going to select the duration which we have received as label. Now I'm going to select the filter type, that is less than. So if the duration time will be equal to 5 or will be less than 5, then the order will be considered as on time delivery. So first of all, I'm going to test the condition whether it is true or false, and the condition is true. In the response, we have received the delivery date as 15 and the order was placed on 10. Within 5 days, the delivery is made. So this order will be considered as on time delivery order. Now in that case, I want to update this particular column, feedback column, as on time delivery. So I'm going to add one more action step over here, that will be update cell value in spreadsheet. So our action application will be Google Sheets. Now we have to select the action event, that will be update cell value. Let's click on connect. Okay, here I'm going to go with existing connection only as I've already built a connection earlier. Now here we have to select the spreadsheet order details. So the sheet is also selected. Now we have to provide the range. So in which range you want to make the update. So the range will be the combination of the column as well as the rows. So the column is F, but the rows are going to be replaced each time. So what we will do, we will simply enter the column F over here manually. But in case of row, we will simply map the row index which we have received from Google Sheets response, so that it could change with each and every new response. Now when we have mapped the range, we are going to move forward. And here it is asking us for the value. What value you want to update? So I want to update the value in the case is on time delivery. So if my conditions will be fulfilled, then I want to provide the feedback on the order as on time delivery. So I'm going to click on save and send test request button, and we can see that we have received the response. So let's go and check. And yes, here we can see that the tag is updated over here as on time delivery. But in case if the duration between the date of purchase and the delivery date will be more than 5, then I want to give the feedback in that case to the order as late delivery. Okay, so in the same manner, we can go for route 2 as well. So this was the use of date duration calculator and how we can apply filter to add conditions after date duration calculator of date time formatter. Okay, so what I have done, I have simply connected my Google Sheets so that whenever the order detail will be added in Google Sheets, I'm going to receive the response over here in Pabbly Connect, and I'm going to calculate the duration between the order date and the delivery date. And if the duration will be, then I want to provide the tag or the feedback to the order as late delivery. And in the case of the duration of the order will be less than 5, then I want to provide on time delivery tag to that order. Okay, so these were some of the use cases in which we can apply filter after using date time formatter. We can first of all format our date and the time according to our requirements. Then we can set filters in our workflows according to our conditions to make that workflow perfect. Okay, so these were some of the use cases. We are going to discuss more possible use cases as well in our further videos. Up till then, thank you for watching. Not only these applications, but you can integrate multiple such applications without any coding or programming skills with the help of Pabbly Connect. Now, if you have any doubt, you can reach out to us at support@pabbly.com. If you want to ask any query, you can reach out to us at forum.pabbly.com. And if you have any pricing related issue, you can reach out to the website given over here. Now, if you find this video helpful, do not forget to share it with your friends. And also please like our video and subscribe our channel for more such amazing automations.